5 days after a fire killed 5 and left many Texas State students without a place to live, cleanup is finally underway today, but many have still not been able to assess their losses or resume their lives, and the grief has only just begun in many cases. Eyewitness News reporter Andrea Martinez has the latest from San Marcos today.
Search and recovery crews say they have completed their search and have found no additional victims. In the meantime, some residents begin the painful process of moving back into their apartments while others start picking up the pieces.
I'm just thankful that people were banging on my window,
Sophomore David Guerra lost nearly everything in the iconic Village apartment fire.
I woke up to this and it was like, just checking, making sure the people that I knew were all right.
The one thing he was able to recover, his snake tank.
He doesn't really know what's going on. He's really stressed out. So having his home back that he knows and loves, that'll definitely help him.
David says he has a personal connection with one of the victims who didn't make it out, but wouldn't say who, since none of those victims have been officially identified. Still, family members have taken to Facebook to confirm their family members were victims. 2 of them were from the San Antonio area. Family and friends of Drew Estes confirmed his passing on a GoFundMe page dedicated to his family. Drew's Facebook page is now a memorial page in remembrance of the student who once attended Roosevelt High School. Then the aunt of Belinda Moats took to Facebook to say, "Our family suffered a great loss. Belinda was a wonderful, caring person with a beautiful soul full of nothing but love." Belinda went to Carrizo Springs High School. David and his classmates will now have to adjust to their new normal, and residents in Building 100 of iconic Village apartments are now being allowed to move back in at any time.
There's nothing to say, it's a completely unfortunate, completely out of nowhere tragedy.
Andrea Martinez, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.